Hi, I'm Pat Freeman. Thank you for watching. This video is a tribute to World War II veteran George V. Jackson, Jr. As a member of B Company, 326th Airborne Engineers, in the 101st Airborne Division, George participated in Operation Market Garden and the Battle of Bastogne. Now, I've known George for a few years, but never knew he was in the war. As a history buff, I really enjoyed listening to him describe what it was like fighting in Holland to secure a bridge that the Allies used to fight the Germans, and how he was there when the Germans counterattacked during Battle of the Bulge. I was shocked to hear how shrapnel from a Tiger tank wounded him, but that he was patched up and sent back to finish with his unit, to finish the war in Austria. I thank George for allowing me to capture his experiences on film and to share them, and I salute him for his courageous efforts during the war. Thank you for watching.
Where I was born, Airborne, New Jersey.
Okay. And when was that?
November 15th, 1923.
Okay. And what was it like growing up during that time? And the Depression was going on, right?
The Depression was going on, but I didn't do bad. I did good until my mother died when I was 15. So then I kind of started to move out a little bit. Got a paper route, did this things, and got on my own a little bit.
What were you doing? What type of work were you doing?
At that time I was doing working in a printing plant, proof man. We run a press, and that closed up. So then I went down to New York shipyard, got myself a job down there, and I come home at night, told my dad, and he says, "You don't want that job." He says, "Gulf Oil is looking for people to work in their service stations." And he had a brain on his head. He was a smart man. He said, "After the war is over, you'll have a job, and the shipyard will close up." So I took his advice, went down, got my job, made about 1/3 the money, but I worked in a gas station until I got drafted. And I always remember my boss, the manager. I was a little thin guy, 135 pound, and I said, "Bill, I got to go down for my physical tomorrow." And he says, "Don't worry about it. They sure don't need anybody like you." And so I went down, they took my physical, and I come back. I said, "I got 2 weeks and I'm leaving." "They took you?" I can still hear it. So that was the beginning of my career there. But getting drafted was the best thing ever happened to me.
Now, did you want to go in? Did you want to enlist, or did you want to avoid?
I asked my dad as soon as the war broke out and I got to be 18, I wanted to go in. He said, "Don't go in." Well, he lived through World War I, see what I mean? Pop did. So, no, just stay where you're at. And of course, it wasn't long before they drafted me anyhow, and I was tickled at that then. Had it going. But to me, it was the greatest thing happened to me. But see, another thing too, which you look at things different. I didn't have a mother. My mother died. I seen guys that had mothers in there that really, the mother is the one that worries about it. Where I popped 2 sisters and a brother. Hey, I wasn't worried about them. They might have been worried about me, but I wasn't worried about them. Mm-hmm. I made it easier. Mm-hmm. But a mother, you could see the guys, when they got a letter from mom. But I was more or less on my own. But once you got the initial thing under your belt, like I said, going into the Airborne, that gave you the pride, gave you the go power. You didn't need nothing else. So when I got drafted, then I went to Fort Dix, and we were there one night, and we were on a train going to Mississippi. That's another thing you might want to look into. That was Camp McCain, Mississippi. Whether that thing is still around or not, I don't know, because when we got down there, we got off the bus in a foot of mud. It was one of these ones they put up overnight just for the troops to train. And by summertime, we were in a foot of dust down there in Mississippi. But that was Camp McCain. And that's where I was in the engineers. And that's where had basic training and all that, you know. The guys you were with were real, you call them like yo-yos. I mean, they do everything and anything, you know, it didn't mind. Even when we were training, we were having trouble. I told you, not early days of training. It was dark down there in Mississippi. We'd come out in the morning, 5 o'clock or whatever time readily was at the time, and I'd go out there. There'd be about 4 of us go out there, and the captain there, the lieutenant would come down for the company. So this sergeant would say, you know, they'd call out the roster. Jackson here, Jones here. Well, there was only 5 of us standing there, and we had a whole company, you know. So each time he called a name, yeah, there was nobody there but 5 of us. He couldn't see; it's dark out there. So then the sergeant would, all present accounted for. Then we go in. There was only 5 of us. Well, the one sergeant, he got mad one morning. We didn't get out of bed, and that's what we were doing. Some were getting out, some weren't. So he come in with one of them tank mines, practice mine. So he put it in the middle of the barracks and he stamped it, and that filled the barracks with smoke. Well, we come out of there in a hurry. But it was all a lot of fun with it.
Any hazing at all? You know, did the guys get on anybody else?
No, we only had one problem with one sergeant. And he come back one time, his bed was gone. But he was a World War I sergeant they had brought back to help train his troops at that time.
Wow.
And he was a yo-yo, and going to be a gung-ho to these young guys, and I don't know how old he was retired, you know, like it would be me today trying to tell them guys. And he come back one day and his bed was gone. Well, they raised quite a fuss about that, but we, like I say, we got the reputation, don't mess around. Don't mess with us. This is where we're at. Where I got more disgusted with that was you built the bridges, then you tore them down. And a lot of labor, but we did learn all about booby traps, setting dynamite, blowing up bridges. We did learn all that when I first went in.
Now, what kind of bridges did you build in training?
Well, we built some of these rubber jobs that goes across the water. That one in particular, we were out there building that thing for the whole night. And it was raining, it was a mess out there. So finally you hear, yo, we got across, so we're done. So we're sitting there, and they brought some coffee around for us. We had coffee, and I thought, boy, now we can go home. Now, you got to tear the bridge down. So I thought, boy, this is getting to be ridiculous, you know? I mean, here I am. I was only a small guy, but I was gung-ho to do something more than this, you know? So I wait for my time, and we went on maneuvers down in Louisiana, and I got hooked up with a great captain and a warrant officer, and they liked me, I liked them, so I started driving their truck for them, and I was under water purification, so we go down there and we drive in there, stick that hose in a swamp, and make clean water out of it. So that's my job, was driving the truck. So I had it made. So one night, I'm coming back with supplies, and it was a moonlight night, and I'm doing as fast as the truck will go. And my sergeant, he's sitting alongside of me, he ain't saying nothing, we're just driving. Next thing you know, we're pulled over by the MPs, blackout conditions. We were supposed to be doing 25. I said, well, you can see a mile, you know. Round us up, put us in a corral, kept us there all night, and of course, you know, them supplies were supposed to be back at the camp. So when we pulled in there the next morning, the second lieutenant, he was in charge of the company at that time as they were coming up. Want to see him right away, report to me. What happened? I told him what happened. Give me your driver's license, you're done. So he took my driver's license. I lost my driver's license. Then he put me on KP. Well, put me on KP for 3-4 weeks. So my captain came by, the guy I liked, and he said to me, he said, something ain't right here, George, what's going on? And I explained it to him. He said, well, we'll straighten him out. You know, he's going to tell the lieutenant. I said, don't do it. I says, I'm waiting for a transfer to Airborne, so it's only a matter of time. You sure? Well, he said, if you have any trouble, you look me up. I said, all right. So I was on there about 3 weeks before my transfer came through. So after my transfer came through, I told you, I walked into the salute at the second lieutenant there, and PFC, and he says, I don't see no stripe. Maybe you don't deserve to have one. So I thought, oh boy, here I go. I work hard, get my one stripe. And he said, well, I hope, wish you luck. He said, I don't know why you're doing this, but go ahead. And I went out, and the captain got a hold of me. He says, you're going down to the bus stop tomorrow? I said, yeah. My warrant officer will take you down. And boy, I tell you, them two guys, I don't remember their names today, but they were two terrific guys. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I started out and ended up over at the Alabama area. Fort Benning, Georgia was part of it. Mm-hmm. And took 2 weeks of exercise. And I thought the Army that I was in was tough. But there, when I got in that outfit, boy, that was real tough. I mean, you did exercise that you didn't do with the regular Army. And that quick, if you say anything, I was laying there, and boy, that across your stomach, you know, with your feet going up and down, you bring them all the way up, open them up, and then start to get down, you start putting them back up, that kind of stuff. And I said, whoa, he said, what? I says, I'm trying like the dickens, sir. You know, and that's all he had, because if you didn't, you're out of there. I mean, the barracks was full of guys that washed out. So I got the exercise done. By the time the week was up, we went over to get a beer. You couldn't even lift your leg up to go up the step. I mean, you were sore. And 2 weeks later, you got back in shape. And then we started, they took us down. We packed our own parachutes, showed us how to pack parachutes. And we packed them for about a week. And then at the end of that week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, and he said to you, well, now, pack it right this time, because tomorrow morning you're going to jump it. That's the one you're going to jump. Well, that was the first time we going up in a plane. And that morning we went up, and it was a beautiful day. I mean, it was calm and beautiful. We jumped out first time, no problems. Oh man, it's great. We're talking to each other and we're floating down there. When we got on the ground, the guy said right away, the captain says, want to see you all in the hangar. And we went in the hangar. He said, now what you just experienced is one time. You'll never get another jump like that in your life, you know. Well, the next time we jumped, that wind was blowing, we were this way, you know. So we learned that, but that first one was, praise the Lord, it was great, you know. I mean, you come down beautiful. And of course we tumbled. The old chutes, you had to tumble. Now the new chutes they got now, you can almost bring yourself down. Mm-hmm. But we did that. We had 7 jumps, six jumps and 1 night jump. Wow. And no problems. Mm-hmm. I had a broken foot, cracked foot, but it didn't bother me that much. And after I got my jumps in, I went down to see the guy. He says, you made all them jumps on that foot? I said, well, man, I ain't washing out this outfit. He said, all right. He says, you'll be all right. He says, just a hairline fracture. So, no problem.